You ready for the video?
Yes, I am.
Present practice. What is vibing? This is Vish.
And Sheena.
And today we'll be responding to Mathew Hussey's video on
3 playful flirting secrets men can't resist.
So this is Yogi VISH, and I have a pretty big background in meditation, spirituality, and this is the first time I've actually reacted to a dating coach video. Want to tell us more about yourself before we get into the video?
Sure, thanks, Vish. My name is Sheena, and I'm a dating coach in Austin, Texas. I help millennial men and women find love easier.
Sweet, so this is definitely down her alley, but I will definitely share, I guess, the more spiritual as well as, let's say, wisdom-based perspective on this. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Sounds good.
Every day, people walk past each other in the street. He's single, she's single, both think the other one is attractive, and then they walk straight past each other and neither does anything about it. I had a woman recently at my event in Chicago.
That was actually an interesting scene. I feel like it's happened so many times, not just to whether it's me or others that I know, but how relatable is this to you?
Oh my gosh, so relatable. It's always a missed opportunity when you walk by someone on the street and you feel attraction or chemistry with them, especially now because people are so used to using dating apps and just texting each other or finding each other through social media. But guys, there is something to meeting someone out at the grocery store, on the street. They can be picked up in a really effective way.
Thank you for sharing that. And really, it's just the fear, I think, that stops you. And the fear is what? It's literally just a made-up thing in your mind. So whether it's, in this case, talking to someone that you find attractive, or even just like a job opportunity, or trying something new, whether it's a new sport or skydiving, for instance, these are all just things that are blocked by the mind. And when you realize truly that you're not the body or the mind, you're able to let go of that fear and just be more free. Let's get back into it.
She told me that she keeps meeting guys online and that they don't turn into dates, and she ends up incessantly in a texting conversation with them. And I said, well, why don't you get out there in the real world? Why don't you meet people there? And she seized up a little, because for most people, the idea of actually meeting people in real life is scary. But it doesn't have to be so scary if we don't take ourselves as seriously, if we stop censoring ourselves, and if we actually get a little more free and easy with the interactions we have. So to get out of this paralysis of playing it safe and not flirting with people, I'm going to give you 3 simple things you can do to flirt more with the guys you like. And by the end of this video, I'm going to give you a gift that's going to make you unstoppable in flirting. Let's begin. Number 1, look more. I know what women do. They go out, they look at a guy once, then they look back at their friends and they say, okay, he knows. Ladies, I'll let you in on a little secret. We don't know. We have no idea. We're terrified that we're going to come over and misread that look, and that you are going to annihilate us in front of your friends, and we're going to have to do the walk of shame back to where we came from. We need more than one look. So as a general rule, I want you to look 4 times more than you think you need to. Strategy number 2.
Question there, actually. Is he talking about the advice for a guy or a girl, or is this for both?
I'm pretty sure this is only geared towards women.
Okay.
Yes, so Mathew Hussey is giving advice to single women to be more flirtatious and give men signals if we're out and we see someone we're interested in. And I would love your opinion on that, Vish, because lately I've been hearing a lot of women say, well, I see men that I'm interested in, but I don't want to be too masculine and ask him out when I want to stay in a more feminine energy. But if you can really capitalize on the fact that someone is looking at you as a woman If you just stay and keep that prolonged eye gaze and that contact, it's really going to give him the signal that you are interested, and that welcomes or invites him to come over and start a conversation.
Thank you, yeah, for asking that question. And I will keep it to, I guess, just as it definitely is interesting times that we live in right now, right? There is this whole traditional viewpoint, which is that it should be the guy engaging to the girl. When I'm saying traditional, I'm talking about traditional Western, so just a preface for y'all watching. So it really just incorporates the idea that the guy should go up, and regardless of, I guess, what the girl is doing or whether she's interested or not, it should be the guy doing that. But now I think the roles are definitely switching a bit, and that like girls are being more open and girls are being more, like I said, masculine with going up to even guys, or being less indirect and more direct by giving those cues. So it can definitely be a little hard to read. With the background that I have as a guy, what I would just say is that like those cues can definitely help, but then there's the whole mind game where it's like, is she looking past me? Does she think that I'm weird? There's just all these questions that will pop up, right? Which is honestly further incentive as a guy. I'm going to share the guy's perspective on this, right? Where I would just encourage you all guys, or even girls, again, this is where I'm going to keep it open to both. I don't care who you are, what you identify with. But the key is to just go, whether you see the signal or not. If you find that interest, just go for it. Cues can help you, but I still think, and this is where I stand, I could be, I'm no expert here, but the point I'm making is even certain cues can be taken the wrong way by the mind, and the mind will make all these stories up. But going back to what I was saying earlier, just realizing that you're not the mind, that you don't have to listen to the mind, just trusting your intuition, I think. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Trust your intuition, because when you start to get too into your thoughts, you're going to talk yourself out of something that might possibly be a good thing for you. Yeah. I want to know, for you as a guy, would you prefer to be asked out by a woman, or do you like doing the asking out?
Great question. See, because of how, and I'm speaking from a very generalizing perspective here, I would just say that a lot of guys might, and I'm also generalizing for the guys here now, a lot of guys will say that they wouldn't like that, but I feel like a lot of guys would, in real life, want it. Because of that fear that's in the mind, which is, I don't know if I should approach or not, and then all these other mind games that are just playing out. So as a guy, I would say, yeah, I think it'd be super cool. And again, I just think where we're at now with like society as well, like where it's a lot more equalized, I don't think it matters whether you're guy or girl. It comes down to what you tend to have more of as a stronger, let's call it a characteristic here, a dimension, whether you're more masculine or feminine. You can be a guy and have more feminine traits. That's totally cool. You can be a girl and have more masculine traits. So it's whatever you tend to lean towards, I think, is key. So I think it'd be great. Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal whether it's a guy or a girl being forward.
I completely agree. Thank you for being honest and sharing.
Sweet, thank you.
Mouth the word. Whether you're walking past someone or you're standing next to them in a line and you catch their eye for the first time, you doing more than making eye contact and actually mouthing the word hi. It doesn't even have to be audible. In fact, it might even be more cute if it's not audible. But that moment shows that you're sweet and warm and kind and inviting, and like the first example, just gives a guy that extra license to start talking to you. Number 3, when you have a date with someone, express that you're looking forward to seeing them. Be honest about that. So on the day of the date, if it's a first date, text him and say, I'm looking forward to meeting you tonight. Or if it's your second or third date and you have a bit more of a bond or a connection by now, text him and say, not gonna lie, I'm excited to see you tonight. Those moments of not only flirtation, but warmth and sweetness are something that elevate your character, because he now realizes he's going on a date with an authentic person, not someone who's trying to play hard to get, not someone who's a game player. And by the way, playing games just invites other game players. But he sees now that he's with someone who's willing to just express themselves honestly. I actually think that's what all 3 of these little secrets do. The multiple eye contact, mouthing hi to somebody, expressing the excitement that you have about seeing someone, they're all actually a form of greater authenticity. This to me is what kids are like. Kids don't get in their head about things all the time. You see kids when their first day of school, they look at each other and they're like, you want to be friends? And the other person's like, yeah. I remember my best friend in life, literally when we were 8 years old, we looked at each other and this guy came over and he said, are you two friends? And we looked at each other, we'd never spoken, and we went, yeah. And that was how our friendship started. Kids are playful. They don't censor themselves all the time.
I'm loving this analogy to kids so far.
I want you to get out there and return to that childlike state of playfulness, not censoring yourself, and start to actually flirt more without judging yourself for the things that you say and do.
So that was a very cool video. Actually, the first video I've ever seen by Mathew Hussey, and again, a very new type of video to this channel. But I think it's super cool to explore different areas, because wisdom and spirituality even applies to everything. It's like life itself. So there is no picking and choosing. It's just trying it all out. So with that being said, what do you think, Sheena, being a dating coach, from those 3 tips that he shared? And this is for women, right?
Yes. And many of them can be applied to men as well. Making more eye contact, saying hi, and texting enthusiasm. I think that they are great pieces of advice, and actually things that many times we get advised against to do. How many times have you heard, don't seem too excited or don't show extra interest in someone because you want to play the game, right? And you want to play hard to get and be a little more elusive and mysterious.
Let me ask you this, if you don't mind,
Sure.
before I forget, which is, coming from the background as a woman, right, as a girl, is it true that, and this is a generalization here, so I'm not going to speak that you, or suggest that you speak for all women or girls, but you are a dating coach, so I feel like you could have a decent stance on this, which is it true that young girls or women tend to prefer that more serious, not as overly expressive type of texting game or communication style? What do you think?
That's a great question. I think, yes, they do. However, that really is just a trauma pattern that many young women have and don't realize that they have to break. Going for the sort of mysterious guy who doesn't text much or isn't very communicative is actually what we call in the dating world an avoidant attachment. And being an avoidant attachment means that you are actually afraid of emotional intimacy. And it could be the way you were raised, it could have been your parenting style or the relationship between your parents, but there's something in you that is telling you that you don't deserve true, authentic communication and vulnerability. And this is something that I see in women all the time. And so when they say, that guy texts me too much or he's a little too clingy, what you're really messaging to yourself consciously or subconsciously is, I don't deserve to be communicated with in a really raw, authentic, and vulnerable way.
I love that perspective. So just to clarify that though, so what would your advice be to a guy? Because that's a great way you put it, right? It's opening up the unconscious area of the way, I guess, girls or women are operating, which makes sense. But are we trying to, as a guy, are we trying to break past that and let's call it make that change or be that change? Or would it be more ideal for the guy to just play the game or play what works? Does that make sense?
That's another great question. Yeah. I think it's always best to just be yourself, right? If you are somebody that wants to double text or triple text, it's okay to do that. Don't fall into this pattern of, well, I can't do that as a guy because I'm going to freak her out. And what Mathew Hussey said, he said, if you play games, you will attract a game player. That is 100% true. So if you feel like you can't be yourself and you feel like by you double texting, she doesn't text you back, that girl is simply just not for you. And you deserve a girl who's going to double, triple text you back as well. So by playing the game and by being mysterious, you're always going to kind of stay in that gray area with that girl, and you guys will never actually progress to true intimacy. And isn't that why you guys both started talking in the first place?
Great points there. And another quick question for you, because these are things that are definitely resonate. I think these are things that the viewers would also love to hear about. Is it true that, I mean, to me, at least coming from the wisdom or spiritual background, a double or triple text would seem like a form of attachment, right? Because you're not getting what you want, so you're texting again because you're really attached and focused to that person. At least to me, it seems like a bit much. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I should clarify. So if, let's say you're a really enthusiastic person or someone who's just really funny and you want to send like funny memes and it happens to come in more than like one text, that's totally okay, do that. However, when it comes to the situation where you're texting her and you are looking to get a response out of her and she doesn't respond, so then what you do is continue to ask questions or continue to text her in hopes of her responding. Yeah. That's where you as the guy or even a girl have to step back and be mindful, coming back to that mindfulness, right? Of, is this person truly just avoiding me at this point? Or am I feeling like I can't be free to be myself at this point because this person is now rejecting me? So it comes down to a matter of, what is the intention of that double or triple text? And be honest with yourself here. Are you really just sending a couple of funny texts that you know will be met with reciprocation? Or are you texting once, not hearing back for a day, and then texting again in hopes of getting a response? That's where it's on you to catch yourself and notice, am I doing this out of desperation or because I'm trying to get a response out of someone that I know deep down in my heart is just not for me?
Again, really well put, and I could really just obviously tell, I'm sure y'all can tell too, how she has that really cool experience with being a dating coach. And we'll just wrap this up and really just kind of, I wanted to add this point of like really emphasizing the word attachment here, right? Yeah, even if it's just like seeking out like a business opportunity, whether it's for a professional connection or even dating, I think the same principle might apply. And it's really just the idea that attachment can be in different forms. So one of the forms could include, let's use an example of response time as a way to talk about this. So for instance, if we're having a conversation, let's say it's a guy and a girl or even a business guy or whatever your interest is in this case, basically, if you were to do this whole, because I've heard this from male dating coaches or just guys or whatever in general, where if a girl were to text you in 1 hour, you should at least wait an hour before you respond. So there's a form of attachment there to where you're constantly waiting till that 1 hour to finish. But there's also an attachment to where, let's just say you don't follow that, but you're just like immediately responding or waiting for that person to text back. That's also an attachment. And so what I would just recommend, again, I'm no expert here, but just from the spiritual as well as wisdom background, really is to focus on yourself to the point where you will respond when you have the time. Not to go out of your way to either make that 1 hour exact time gap or 2 hour, whatever your time limit is, or to right away text. As long as you're keeping yourself productive, you are doing what you love, when you do have that free time, whether it's an hour or a day or whatever it is, it'll be more natural and there's less attachment present. What do you think about that as a dating coach?
I 100% agree with you, Vish. I think that if you are truly someone who's worth dating, so someone who has a full life, who has great friends, who has hobbies and a great job, whatever it may be, you are that person who's not necessarily attached to your phone 24/7, right? And so you're off doing things and maybe you're responding in 20 minutes, maybe you're responding in an hour, maybe you're responding in 3 hours. Either way, it's what feels natural for you. And most importantly, it's not causing any type of anxiety in your body where, again, you're attached to the idea of, okay, let me wait an hour, or I can't text back right yet. Maybe it is right away. Whatever feels most natural for you, and that's not going to give you anxiety, because that's the word I hear always in dating from my clients, from people who are dating in general. Dating gives me anxiety. Get rid of the anxiety by just being yourself, having a full life, and responding in a way that feels natural and authentic to who you truly are.
Absolutely. Just have that clear mind, be conscious, and everything else will just work out.
Yes.
Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to check out Sheena. All of her stuff will be down below.
Yes, down below you can check me out on That Dating Coach on Instagram and at That Dating Coach on TikTok.
She has some really cool stuff, so definitely check her out. And with that, make a great day, take it joyfully, and stay conscious. Awesome job.
Thank you.